Hey everybody, welcome back to the Ohio Valley Real Estate Report. My name is Johnny Kazemka with Harvey, Goodman, Realtor, broadcasting from my St. Clairsville, Ohio office studio. And today I want to talk to you about the turbulent, the chaotic mess of the real estate market that exists as of today, not just in our little slice of Ohio Valley heaven, but nationwide. We are all in this boat together. And what do I mean? I mean the meteoric rise of interest rates over the past 6 months to 12 months. I mean, it has been a roller coaster like I have never seen before. And one of my favorite quotes, and to surmise this in maybe just one saying, is that weak times make strong people. Strong people make good times. Good times make weak people. Weak people make bad times. Follow along. Basically, what that means is that we are at the bottom end of this roller coaster. You know, the only real direction I can possibly see, maybe going declining a little bit more, but we have to say that this has to be near the bottom. We took full advantage of the interest rates while they were here. It was easy. It was like jumping into a public swimming pool. Everyone's passing the beach ball back and forth, and the water is just, stale. And then someone gets out of the swimming pool and sees a little knob on the side that says wave pool. And they didn't just turn it to 1 or 2. They spun that thing all the way to 11. And here we are. And all these waves start happening and crashing over people that weren't prepared, that didn't expect this. And I'm now diving into this pool and trying to save as many people as I possibly can by giving the best advice that I can. This is my time to shine. And I hate to say that, but the real wealth of having an agent and someone advocating in your corner, especially when they know what they're doing, is to be able to put you on the best path possible. Anybody can swim when the water isn't turbulent. But when it gets rough, you really need to have someone in your cabin, or at least on your side, that can really navigate that for you. So what do I mean by that? Well, the interest rates are the highest by far that I've ever seen in my entire career. And it's had the desired effect by the Fed. I mean, they announced that they were going to do this to fight inflation. It's had the desired effect to cool down the spending habits of people, especially in my life, my line of work in the real estate market. Probably for the first time in my career, I could say that I believe I have more seller clients right now than I do buyer clients, which I've never been able to say that. So what does that all mean? It means that if you're now thinking of buying or selling, I should say, there's a lot more to think about than there was when the interest rate was 2.5%, 3%. I mean, ridiculous. The things to think about. One of the things that you can try to do and to talk about, that you should talk about, is interest rate points. Well, what are points? It's not the simple of saying, hey, I'm just going to buy down my interest rate by a single point. Most people think a point means, okay, I'm going to go from 7% to 6%. That's not what that means. It basically is a variable form that, if you're buying a house at $250,000, an interest rate point might look like 1% of your purchase price, in that case, $2,500, to buy the interest rate down to some other term. So you might spend $2,500 to buy the interest rate down by 0.25%. So when you buy a point of interest, you're not buying 1%, you're just buying whatever predetermined. And this is, it adjusts every day, no different than the stock market, no different than any market. Everything, it changes daily. So why would you spend $2,500 just to knock the interest rate down by maybe 0.25 point? Well, the answer is, over a 30-year span, that 0.25 point is going to save you much more money than that initial $2,500 investment. So then someone would say, okay, well, if I could get 0.25 point for $2,500, why not just bump it to $5,000 and get half of a point? It doesn't work that way. Again, it depends on the type of loan. It depends on the length of loan. It depends on the amount of loan, your credit score. All of these things factor together. So this is why I'm advocating that who you work with matters, especially now. If you haven't had this talk with your agent and you're thinking of buying, you really need to look at them and ask them this and make sure that they have a proper track and put you on the best path possible as a buyer. Because a lot of times what I'm seeing is people will advocate, oh, your interest rate went up, let's just try to negotiate the price, which is smart. I mean, I'm not saying that isn't a solution, but think of it this way. You're buying a $250,000 property, $250,000, and your interest rate is now, it's gone from 6 to 7%, okay? You might say to the seller, hey, since my interest rate went to 7% and you're asking $250,000, I'm going to make you an offer of $235,000. Okay, the seller might take $235,000 because of the conditions in the market. Maybe it hasn't sold yet. Well, you're financing $235,000 at that point at 7% interest. Okay, great. You've shaved down $15,000 off your total purchase price, but you're still financing at 7%. But what if I told you that you can keep the price at $250,000 and then use that to cover a portion of your closing costs and use the excess funds to go towards buying down your interest rate. Let's just say you got that down to 6.5%, maybe 6.25%. You'd be better off in the long run financially at buying a house at $250,000 at a higher price, but with a lower interest rate. Do you follow how that would work? And there's a chart that we can use, an amortization chart, and we would put together saying, okay, here's what your payments are going to be. Yeah, your monthly payments might be higher up front, but over the life of the loan, that will probably save you, at 3/4 of a point to even a point of interest, a full percent of interest, it will probably save you $250,000 every bit of $40,000 to $50,000 in the next 30 years. I mean, that's a ridiculous amount of money for just using some common sense and some math. So again, I don't want people to just approach this with a simple mindset of, hey, let's just reflect this on the purchase price. Yeah, that is an option, but you need to know that other options exist. And not just that, but there's other types of buy downs. There's other types of interest point buy downs, like 3-to-1, 2-to-1, 1-to-1. It basically just says the equivalent of 3, 2, or 1 years, so to speak, of your interest rate being bought down at a lower rate. So if you're planning on coming here and you're buying a property, and you're saying, hey, I'm just going to, be here for the next 5 years, 7 years. This isn't my forever home kind of thing. This might not necessarily apply to you as much, but it still should be discussed about. Especially the higher up in price that you go, the more detrimental the interest rate increases become. It impacts everybody, even down to, the lowest incremental buyer. If someone's buying, let's just say 100,000 or below, yeah, the interest rate still encroaches onto your daily life, into your financing, but not nearly as much as if you're buying at $500,000. So again, my job isn't in sales as much as people might think that a realtor's job is in sales. My job is in consulting people and making sure that they know the best paths for them. I'll work with a 500 credit score that can't get pre-qualified right now, but I'll help you get to that point. And once you're there, I'll put you on the best path possible, at least give you all the advice. If you are working with someone who is not able to speak with that kind of authority, you really, truly need to vet them, or you need to get someone who's going to put you in the best seat possible, because this is now the Wild West of real estate. It's not as simple, because you could afford to have made a mistake back when the interest rates were so low. Now, if you jump into something and you're not prepared for any other changes in the market, you could really put yourself in some harm's way. So anyways, give me a shout. I'm Johnny Kazemka from Harvey, Goodman Realtor. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.